Welcome back to the Brand Gravity Show, where we explore the intersection between branding and psychology. I'm your host, Kaye Putnam, Kaye like the letter, and I am the psychology-driven brand strategist. It is so fun to bring you this conversation today because it took a little bit of a different flavor than a lot of our recent guests. So as opposed to teaching from her expertise, which Tay does as well, she really shared the heart and the mission behind her brand. I think it's such a great example of how to articulate and how to enroll people into a greater meaning behind the brand that you're building. Tay Daniels is a multi-business owning wife and mom living in the Midwest, host of the Breadwinner Energy Podcast, and life and business mentor for women who are ready to build a six-figure business. She teaches women how to step into their CEO shoes, build unshakable confidence, and get paid to be unapologetically themselves so they can have a life that they not only love, but deserve. Let's get to the conversation. Tay, thank you so much for being on the show. For those who haven't had the pleasure yet, can you give us a little bit of backstory of who you are and how you got here?
Absolutely. Long story short, I started my first business in 2016. I was 7 months pregnant. I did not want to go back to my 9 to 5. So I was like, I'm just going to quit and start a business. I had no experience, had no college degree, and I had $100 to my name. I had no credit cards, no family to back me out of this. Everyone thought I was absolutely insane. But I was like, I know I meant to be at home, to be with my kids. Little did I know, though, that would transition into like being a full business owner, wanting to run a company, wanting to make $1 million versus just being like a stay-at-home mom. And now I'm telling my husband, like, do you want to be a stay-at-home dad? So,
I love that.
Yeah, that's how that's transpired. In 2019, I transitioned into the coaching space. Luckily, it was right around COVID because our agency, which is what I first started, worked with wedding professionals. And so weddings were shut down. So agency clients, almost everyone backed out of contracts overnight. And luckily, I had just gotten to the coaching space because that was my only saving grace. And now today, I have a six-figure agency, a multi-six-figure business coaching, and I'm a certified life and business coach. So it's been a whirlwind.
Yes, and there's all sorts of stuff that I want to explore in between then and now. It's so fascinating to me when you're in that situation of having a lot of constraints. I would love to hear about some of those first steps that you took in business, and maybe even at both points, like right when you're first starting your first business, and then at that pivot point where you're moving into coaching, where you had to go from 0 to 1. You had to get those first few clients and start bringing in some money. What did that look like?
That's a great question. So in the first business as a virtual assistant, that was in 2016, I had no business experience at all. So my thought was, let me just email people and see if they want my services. And that was what I did. And luckily I had a few people that were like, sure, they brought me on. That was enough to like bring in a few $100s a month and call it a day. And I was just happy that I was just like at home with my daughter, making a little bit of money and getting some experience. But then as I continued to grow and really get into like, wow, I'm a business owner, I should treat this like a business versus just a freelancer. That was when the things started to shift of like, okay, now I have to actually create strategies, right? To get the clients to do the thing. Social media then was definitely not what it is now, but it was off to a start, right? Instagram was popping. And so I was like, I don't want to put my face on camera, but how can I finagle being on social media, creating a brand while also just being like this stay-at-home mom in the Midwest? And as I transitioned into 2019 into coaching, a lot of what I did was just build a lot of relationships, talk to a lot of people, went to networking events. I pretty much did anything to just tell people what I did and who I was, and hoped that it would turn into something.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I feel like there's such a mystery because it's such a chicken and the egg situation, especially when you're hearing, and I'm guilty of this too. It's like, once you have an audience, some of the tactics start to work, but they don't work before you have a presence and an audience and a brand and a reputation, portfolio, et
Oh,
cetera.
yeah.
So I've found the exact same thing, that kind of like pairing the idea of having some of those short-term, unsustainable, unscalable techniques in the beginning with building the long-term relationships or presence or whatever it is at the same time, or like supplementing it, so that you can move away from those direct outreach kinds of situations, really does work really well. So thank you for sharing that with us. What did it look like when you moved into coaching? Presumably you had a little bit more relationships, you had more experience. What did that look like?
Yeah, so I actually love that you shared that, because so many business owners, I think, get into this and think I have to have all the pieces and the websites and the foundations and all the things. And then once you build your business, 9 times out of 10, you rip it all down and restart it. So you might as well just build it as you go. And I know that seems counterintuitive and like opposite of everything you've learned, but it's actually more strategic. And so I really fell into it because I never thought of myself as a coach, nor did I think I would ever be a coach. And in 2019, I was asked to be a keynote speaker at a conference for wedding professionals. And I had never publicly spoke, right? I didn't even want to put my face on Instagram, but something in me was like, sure, just do it. I showed up to this conference and I just went on a rampage about workflows and building your business and all these things that just lit me up to share with them, because that was what our services and our agency did. And as soon as I left there, my phone was blowing off the hook of people that were like, can you teach me how to do this? So it kind of turned into consulting. And I was like, wow, I actually like doing this way more than I actually like doing the implementing and the work. I'm more of a visionary. I can envision their brand and their business and how it all ties together. And so I just took on these people in that space in coaching, a coaching capacity. And then, like I said, as COVID hit, the wedding industry shut down. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to fully move into coaching. Like, I love this. It makes sense. It aligns. And I was like, I should help more women do this, build this brand for themselves, build this like aligned business that just makes sense for your life. And so from 2019 until today in 2023, I have mastered how to teach women in a very easy, simple way to put all these pieces together. And like I said, is like flying the plane as you build it.
Yes. Yes. I like to call those like the awkward, pimply teenage years of business. You're never going to be perfect and polished when you first get started. You're going to learn so much more if you get into action. Clarity actually comes from that combination of action. And then at some point, taking the time to stop and reflect and figure out what's working and what's not. But yeah, I digress. I love the name of your podcast, Breadwinner Energy. And I know that you have kind of distilled what you're learning down into 4 pillars for creating a 6-figure business. Can you walk us through that process or those pieces?
Absolutely. So yes, Breadwinner Energy came about in 2021 with a mentor, and it has been like so cool the way that it transforms, right? But like you said, it doesn't start in the beginning of your business and you just come up with these magical things. It happens over time. So what I learned through building a business is that it does take 4 different specific things together to start building a business, right? So first and foremost, your mindset. And everyone says this, but when I say mindset, I mean, this is like a thing that you will continue to master your whole life. But it is something that you have to get in check in business, whether you're new or whether you're 6 to 7 figures. It just comes in different forms, right? Number 2 is strategy. You cannot build a business without strategy. Whether you do go the woo route and you follow your intuition, there still has to be some backed strategy there. It is imperative to knowing what works and doesn't work for your business. Followed by then execution. You have to do the thing. A lot of us here are super visionary. We have all the ideas. I know I do. I've got notebooks full of ideas. But you actually have to put the strategy and the mindset behind it and to actually execute and do the thing, followed by consistency. Doing things over and over and over and over again until they work. You are going to fail your way to success. And if you don't execute more, you can't fail more, you can't win more. So that is the strategy that I've created. It's what's worked for our businesses. And now we've helped tons of women build 6-figure businesses on those 4 pillars.
Mm, I love a good framework.
Right?
Thank you for sharing that.
I'm all
Yes.
about the framework. And then we've
Oh,
broken
same.
that down into like more frameworks. I'm like, how do I make this strategy simple and streamlined so that everyone can do it? Because that's how my
Mhm.
brain works. And yeah, I'm a sucker for a strategy.
Same. I'm going to throw something a little bit out of left field at you, but I think that it fits this conversation and kind of that idea of 0 to 1 with a twist. So I have had a few conversations with people lately who are finding themselves in a situation kind of similar to your situation with the wedding industry going poof overnight,
Yeah.
where they're like,
Mhm.
things, like I'm not new. I've had clients, things have happened in the past, but I'm finding myself in kind of a slow spot or like a plateau, if you will.
Yeah.
How do you recommend to your students and your clients to work through some of those situations?
I love this. I learned this from a seven-figure mentor as I'm building my seven-figure business is you should only attach to the life that you want to live and not to the pieces that get you there. And
Mm,
this was the game changer because when I first started as a virtual assistant, I did not have big picture vision, right? I didn't have like this vision. I was like, oh, I'm just going to do a VA thing. And then I did OBM and then I did agency and then courses and then coaching. And instead of being tied to one idea of being a service provider or being a coach, I thought, you know what? I want to make this amount of money because it's going to allow me to live this kind of life. Whatever it takes to get there, I'm willing to do. Whatever business model that is, whatever strategy that is, I'm willing to do them and try them all to see what works to live that life. And so that like changed the game for me because I was like, you've got to stop holding on to this idea of I'm a coach or I'm a business owner if that's not working, and do what works to be and have the life that you want to live at the end of the day.
mm, yeah. And I think that there is tension in there where people feel an aversion towards certain, like, say, marketing tactics or business models, those kinds of things. But there is still that element of you're not going to know until you try, or you're not going to be able to make it your own until you just start getting into action. If you always are
Yeah.
dismissing, I don't know, whatever it is, like say direct outreach, like I'm not going to talk to my friends, I'm not going to reach out to them to see if they need
Mm-hmm.
somebody or like know somebody for me.
Yeah.
You might be cutting off a whole arm of possibilities instead of seeing what's out there and finding a new path that might surprise you or might be something that works really well. We're going to get right back to the interview. For the next few seconds, I'm going to share with you my brand clarity collective and how it can help you grow your income and impact. If you're an entrepreneur who feels stuck or uncertain about what makes your brand stand out, then this is for you. The Brand Clarity Collective is a mastermind multiplied by mentorship. It's part online curriculum, part digital mastermind, and it's designed to help you get crystal clear brand clarity so you attract more perfect clients and grow your business. We have a thriving community of entrepreneurs who are all smart and driven. As a member of the collective, you get an all access pass to all of my best branding courses, as well as access to our private community where you can connect with like-minded entrepreneurs and get feedback and support directly from me on our coaching calls. The Brand Clarity Collective is priced at just $297 per month. And after 6 months, you keep lifetime access to all of the courses. To learn more and to see if it's right for you, head over to my homepage at kputnam.com. There's a big section where you can click to learn more. I'll also include the link in the show notes wherever you are listening or watching. All right, let's get back. How have you found your mentors?
Oh, that's a good question too. No one really asks that. These questions are fabulous. So, my first mentor ever, that was the highest ticket program ever, $10,000 investment. This is like the game changer for me. I found her on Instagram, and it was strange because prior to this, I had looked for a mentor for quite a while, and I had one in mind, but I never committed.
Mm.
This one, I found her, I applied and committed within like 48 hours to this because I just knew when I found her. And then the second one I found, I believe it was also on Instagram actually, and it was through referral. And then my third mentor was through referral, was to be a
Nice.
certified coach. Yeah. So a lot of the people I found have just been on social media and just done my due diligence of like who has worked with this person. and are they going to get me to the outcome that I want?
Mm,
And I know that's tricky sometimes online. You don't know what
yeah.
you're getting yourself into. I've made very much bad investments with coaches. So don't get me wrong, hasn't been glory. But online on social media and just really being clear about who I want to work with and why I want to work with them to find mentors.
Yeah. I think it's that why you want to work with somebody is really interesting and something to make sure that you pay attention to. Because when we're being honest with ourselves, sometimes it's like, oh, she lives a really glamorous life and she does all of these things and she's making a whole lot of money and I want to make a whole lot of money too.
Yeah.
And if they're living life in a completely different way than you are and selling and doing things in a completely different way, and if you're not open to that as part of your identity or future, that might be a mismatch. So you have to really pay
Yes.
attention to why you're learning or why you're being attracted to specific mentors. Such good advice. Don't mind my brain. We're going all the way back to the beginning. How did you decide that being a VA was going to be the thing that got you started?
Yeah. So when I was at my 9 to 5, I had an office job. I was an assistant. I spent pretty much all day on the clock
Yeah.
searching for stay-at-home jobs and work-from-home jobs. And I didn't care what it was. I just wanted to be at home. And a virtual assistant had popped up a few times, and it was a
Mm-hmm.
very new concept back then. And so I thought, well, okay, well, why don't I apply for VA jobs? So I applied to be a subcontractor and all these things. And nothing was really working. And I was doing that while at the job because I knew maternity leave is coming and I don't want to go back. And so I thought, you know what? I'm just going to start my own VA business and then just reach out to people and offer services because I've done admin VA work in a corporate setting for a long time. So why not
Mm-hmm.
just transfer that into like just doing it from home? And now it has like completely blown up. But yeah, that was really how I just was like, this is what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm. I think it was smart because you're transferring what experience that you did have, but you're stepping into a role that people actively need. Like you didn't
Yeah.
try to skip to coaching people on something before you had built up that body of work and that experience and portfolio over time. It was you just stepped in and started serving where you could
Yeah.
serve and learning from that experience. Yeah. Talk to me about your brand now. What are you really excited about in 23?
Oh, that's such a good question. I am a sucker for a good brand. Like I'm obsessed with branding. It is, it has some weird magical pull over me. But how we're shifting in 2023 is that we have come up with our, not only our word of the year, but how we're helping people and creating it in a way that just aligns all around. From the way we
Mm,
talk, from our brand name, from our vision, from the like literally the colors. They all vibe, which is helping women become rich, powerful, and sustainable. And when I say rich, I mean you are rich in your life, your wealth, your happiness, your love, your family, not just finances. You're powerful, you are a confident woman who knows exactly what she wants and you're not afraid to go after it. And you're creating a sustainable, lifelong success in your business. And those are our three power words. And then we've built our whole business around that and becoming the breadwinner of your own life.
talk to me about that transformation. I'm curious about it because I went through it, a similar one myself, where at first it was just kind of like, yeah, I'm doing this thing. Like I want to bring some money in, do some
Mm-hmm.
things, to stepping into the identity of being a CEO. Were there any roadblocks? What's the word I'm looking for? Like moments of crisis along that shift or that transformation that you remember?
Oh my gosh, yes. There still is some days. Some days I'm
Yeah.
like, do I really want this life? Like this
Yeah.
life comes with a lot of responsibility and a lot of hard work. And I think, like you said, online it seems so glamorous and it seems so like perfect. And I have really taken time to open that door to be like, it is not glamorous and perfect. And if you're not willing to suffer, then you will not make it here. And that is just the hard truth. And so there's been a lot of moments of just really questioning why I'm doing this and then remembering to like, I have such a bigger purpose here. And that is driving me from not only
Mm,
my children and allowing them to have a different life, my family, my husband, myself, but all the women that I'm impacting. That in itself is just enough to be like, whatever comes my way, I can do it because I'm changing people's lives and I'll never give that up. And so I think having my daughter was like a big transformation of, I have to do this. Like I have to completely go all in here. And then through, I've had moments too of like, it's this or going back to a 9 to 5. So I'm going to step up here because I cannot go back to a 9 to 5, right? So it's like those little moments and reminders of like why you're doing this and do you really want to be here? And honestly, I have seen so many people come and go in the last 8 years that you have to be so deeply committed to your purpose that it is enough for you to get through those days, because shit will hit the fan on a consistent basis and you have to ride the wave.
Yep. And we are accountable to ourselves to figure that ish out. Like it just, the buck stops with you, for lack of a better phrase. And full honesty, disclosure, like I've had many kitchen conversations with my husband where I'm like, I should just go and get a job. Like that would be so much easier.
Yes.
And yet, oh my gosh, like that would cost so much. That would cost so much for my family, for the people that I get to work with, for everybody. Yeah. So it's that remembering word that you said of coming back to that purpose. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes. What becomes possible when women are the breadwinner, or whatever that looks like for her?
Oh, I love this. I love this. Anything is possible, right? When you are truly the breadwinner of your own life, anything is possible. And I mean anything, like the biggest of wildest dreams, because if someone told me in my very young age, when I was living in a trailer park with my mom who worked 3 jobs, that you at 29 years old are going to own multiple businesses that make multi-6 figures, I would have been like, you are lying. And I know if that's possible for me, anything is possible for you. But the reason I live by this is for so many things that I've been through in my own life, what I know to be true about the world and society in general is that women should be making more money and be making more decisions. And we get to make more decisions and have more freedom and have more options when we have money. And that is the truth. And I know for a lot of people, they're like, money's not everything, but it does factor into so many things and decisions. And when you create that energy of being able to be like, I can do anything I want and I have all the options and all the freedom in the world to choose, you are truly powerful. You are unstoppable. You can change other people's lives, from your kids to your community to the online space. And I went through a divorce at a very young age from an abusive relationship, and he made the money, and I did not have the choices and the power and the freedom to leave. And that was truly what stemmed this brand, because maybe it's not that drastic for you, right? But we've also had so many women come into this program that are like, I don't get to say because my husband makes the money, so I don't get to decide. Or I don't get to do this, or I don't get to do that because I don't have the money. Where if you truly step into and embody being a breadwinner, not only financially, but from a mindset perspective, you become powerful. You stop bending over backwards for other people. You stand up for yourself. You make decisions for yourself. You become confident, and you truly live a life that is for you and not for anyone else. And when you do that, you become the best version of you.
Yes. Being the breadwinner, to borrow your language for a moment, it is not selfish. It's what creates impact in not just your life, but it has that infinite ripple effect of every other life that you touch. And I'm also a mother of 2 amazing kids, and just the ability to show them what's possible is a big piece of what drives me every day. It's like,
me too.
Yeah. Let's not limit their little worlds and their brains, because so much is possible, and it's up to us, if whether or not you have children, to be leaders and to step into whoever the best version of you is. Like the world needs us, whether or not you have children or not. So yes, I love the heart. I love the mission behind your brand. You're doing amazing, amazing work. So we mentioned earlier just grit or tenacity. What else stops people women or men, from reaching their goals? What's in the way?
Indecisiveness all the time.
Mm.
It is not deciding because we think that there's like this perfect magical answer out there and that we're going to make this wrong choice when we decide. And so we don't decide and then we don't execute. And so nothing happens. And so the phrase that I live by is that we're just going to decide and we're going to love our decision, because whether I decide this or that, something will go wrong. Something will not go to plan. Something will not be what I expected, but we're going to learn from that so that we have more information and data for our next decision, but we won't ever know if we don't ever decide. So make more decisions, quicker decisions, and love your decisions, and then move forward with them. But not making a decision will be 100% what holds you back from moving forward. And the fear of making the wrong decision, because that doesn't actually exist.
In 100% of my most successful clients, the 7-figure, 1 or 2 8-figure brands that I've worked with, quick decisions has been a trait that all of them have shared for all of the CEOs of those most successful brands. And I think that they do that even to a fault, you could say, because stuff breaks and stuff doesn't work out the way that they want all of the time. But then they have made 3 more decisions before a different person would have only made that first one. So they're already on the path to fixing it and seeing even greater success just because of their speed. So yeah, I think that's really, really important. You have a group program, Breadwinner Energy Academy. What does it look like inside of that? What are you doing there?
This is our OG program. I love this program. It creates massive amounts of results for women, and they blow their own minds about what's even possible. And that in itself is enough for me to know this is a win. And so, yeah, this is our 12-month coaching program. It is very, very hands-on. It's group and one-to-one, but it's very hands-on. And that's exactly what we teach. We teach you to consume content, then brain dump all the things, make a decision in 1 week, and then execute for 2 weeks. So 1 week of consuming, 1 week of deciding, 2 weeks of executing over and over and over again, so that by 12 months, you have not only built a very strong business foundation, a 6-figure business, but you've also taught yourself how to make decisions and execute very, very quickly over and over again for 12 entire months. And that plus the 4 steps I shared earlier, plus our 9-step framework, takes you from 0 to 6 figures in a year. And we have helped women who came in with nothing but an idea create a 6-figure business while traveling, while being with their kids. And when I created this program, if I would have known that 2.5 years later, it would be this impactful and magical and amazing for women, but the community in itself has blown my mind. Like, they've brought me to full on tears for women to be like, I have never been in such a space of women that are so powerful and loving and supportive of each other, where there's no competition and there's no judgment. And it's being led. These women are 30 to 60 years old, and it's being led by a 20-year-old. Like, this is absolutely insane. And so for me, just knowing that the work that I do and the coaching that I do is only such a small piece of just bringing you the community, the education, the content, all the things you need in one place to go on with your business and be able to scale. And so I know that I put my hand in creating this, but the women in it have blown even my own mind, the expectations out of the water for this program. And if I could do one thing for the rest of my life, it would be this program, and that's it.
I love it. I love it. Just proving to yourself that act of knowing how to decide and knowing how to take action, even if you didn't do anything else, like, that creates magic. And just out of curiosity, what types of industries or what types of businesses, what types of livelihoods have people created out of this program?
Absolutely. So most of the students who've come in the door have been service providers and or coaches, and 99% of them transition into coaching and then passive income. Our women are, like I said, 30 to 60-year-olds. We have women in other countries. Most of them are mothers, but they're like, I get to take the whole summer off and be with my kids and still make six figures. Or I have traveled 5 times this year. I've bought my dream home. I've bought my dream car. I've retired my husband. I've quit my 9 to 5 in less than 6 months. Like the opportunities are truly endless. And the women who came in thought, I don't know how I'm going to put food on the table, or I'm a single mom. I have no idea where I'm going to afford my child's school or dance or whatever it is, to being successful 6-figure business owners. That in itself is just like, that is why we do what we do, because there's not a lot of resources out there, right? You can go to college, you can get a business degree, but to have someone teach you these fundamental pieces and actually have real results in 1 year, it's crazy.
Bananas. Yeah. Where can people find out more about you, about the Academy, about all of the things?
Absolutely. Instagram. I'm always on Instagram at it's Tay Daniels _LLC, as well as on our podcast, the Breadwinner Energy Podcast. And you can come check out Breadwinner Energy Academy.
Love it. All right. 2 final questions. My humans are incredibly smart. They love to learn. So I love to ask all of my guests, what is your favorite strategy when you're tackling a new topic or project where you're a beginner? How do you learn?
That's a good question. A lot of it is what I teach, right? So what do I need to know and what do I need to learn about this thing? What do I need to brain dump and get out of my brain? What all the notes that I can take? What decisions do I need to make and how quick can I make them? And then now, how do I engineer this backwards to execute it and get it done? I give my students 2 weeks to implement something before they can move on. And I live by this practice, and I give them 2 weeks because I implement within 48 hours of a decision. I do not sit on ideas. I do not sit on decisions. I do not sit on anything. And that is what took me from being a VA making $3,000 a month to being a multi-6-figure business owner. And I hit 6 figures in 6 months with that exact strategy, because you don't need the whole car, the whole plane, or all the pieces of it built. You don't even need to know about them. You need to take it one step at a time. So I consume a little bit, I brain dump a little bit, I decide, and then I execute, and then I move forward on the next step and the next step. And before you know it, a year has gone by and I've built 7 planes.
Right.
But if I were to think about 7 planes at the beginning of the year and be like, okay, how am I going to build 7 planes? I'd be overwhelmed. My brain would be frozen. I wouldn't make decisions. I wouldn't move forward. So for anyone out there, use this strategy, even if the smallest things, even around your home, and see how impactful it is for you. But that is what I live by. I live by all the things I teach.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And I might stretch you a little bit because this is going to sound related, but bear with me. If you could plant just one idea, like a seed of one idea or one belief into everybody's mind that is watching or listening, what would you want them to know?
There's so many. I have so many. First and foremost is that you're truly capable of anything you can think of. And you are truly capable of having the most incredible life that you want to live. It's the only thing between you and that are your thoughts and the way that you think about that thing. And so if you can trick your thoughts, or you can redirect your thoughts to truly believe that you're capable, you will be able to do anything. And I live by that. That is something that's the hill I will die on.
Yes, I agree with you. It's a piece of knowledge that's hard to truly embody. It's hard to accept that, especially when you've had really hard circumstances in your life.
Yes.
And we have all succeeded. We've all mastered things. We've all blown our own minds with something that we learned or we did at some point in our life. So if you're having trouble really believing that, I encourage you to look back into your past and be like, look what I did. I survived. I survived that thing.
Oh
I can survive this. Yeah.
Yes. For mothers, labor and delivery. I thought there's no way I'm getting through this. And now I'm pregnant with my second child. And
congratulations.
Thank you. But yeah, so that's 100% is retraining your mind, your thoughts, and your beliefs to helping you and being on your team versus working against you all the time.
Yes. Amazing. Tay, thank you so much for being here in your energy and sharing all of the wonderful things that you've learned. I love, like I said, a good framework, and you shared a couple here with us today. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me. This has been fantastic.
Amazing. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, and I hope you pulled out some nuggets, if not from her actual teaching, but from the way that she articulates and communicates her mission. This is such an important part of communicating who you are, the C part of this clarity code framework that I reference often. C is the character, who you are, what you believe in, what your point of view is. When you have that larger point of view and mission in the world, people can get on board with what you're selling more easily. Thank you so much for listening. And if you haven't yet, please leave me a 5-star review if you're finding these episodes useful, inspiring, helpful, empowering, helps smart entrepreneurs like you find this show, helps us get this message out more widely. And this is my mission. It allows more entrepreneurs to change the world with what they know. I believe there's genius inside every entrepreneur. We just don't often know how to package it up, how to get it out into the world. So if I can help just a couple more of you do that, I am living in my mission. I'm living in my moment. Thank you so much for watching or listening, and I will see you next time.